coming alive, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much.
Oh, do you want to open it?
It's mine. It's mine.
I mean, I was going to say,
hey,
this is our 4th time doing this, and it doesn't get any easier, so we're opening wine right now.
It's about to get easier. It is. We've got some sparkling wine here, which I appear to know what I'm doing opening.
Anyway, so I'm Emily Shannon. I'm our wine club manager, and this is Jan Barwick from the South.
You mean the South?
The South.
South of England, that is.
Oh, oops, wrong South. Anyways, so we're going to be tasting through a couple of wines that you might have seen in your wine club shipments. Thank you, Dan. Keep going, and we're good. So this, we're going to start off with our 2012 Late Disgorge Blanc de Blanc with, I don't know if you couldn't already tell, this is my favorite wine that we have. Maybe I put it in the club shipment for you guys. Perhaps it was for me. Who knows? But cheers.
Cheers.
We'll start off with that. Oh, somebody in our live audience would like some as well. Hold, please.
Yeah. So this is a wine that's from 2012, which seems a long time ago now. And what we did was we fermented this wine, and then we put it back in the bottle to re-ferment. And it stayed there 8 years, which is called En Tirage. And then we disgorged it last year to present to you. So this wine has a lot of different characters from the time it spent in that bottle waiting for it to be here today. During that time, it creates these very complex and interesting flavors that are sort of more like sort of baked bread, brioche, sometimes a croissant I get from this. There's also there's a lovely sort of lemony, sort of baked lemon curd part or something like that, which I love. Very, very smooth.
The more you keep going, the more I just taste all of these synonyms.
There's nothing like a good synonym with your wine.
We love synonyms. Cinnamon buns. Anyways, like I said, this is definitely one of my favorites. Oh, geez, Louise. Believe it or not, this is our first glass, folks.
It is.
Okay, so this has obviously taken 8 years. Fun fact, in 2012, I was a junior in high school.
And I was a senior.
A senior citizen? Okay.
Wow.
Sorry. Well, now you can get into Yosemite for, the discounted rate.
So back to the wine.
Anyways, back to the wine. Okay, so we know that this has taken, 8 years to, come to fruition into our glasses. We've spent a lot of, you and me have spent a lot of time on this wine. Me drinking, Dan doing the things. So for this wine, we actually have a special love label. Do you know why we chose to do the love label for this wine?
Because it's the love bubbles.
I know the answer to that.
Good.
This was for our grand reopening in 2019. Like I said, folks, this does not get any easier, but we appreciate you being here.
We do.
Very much. We actually were nominated. I don't know who nominated us for the best virtual tasting. You can't vote anymore, unfortunately, folks, but,
Keep watching, though.
Keep watching, please. Stay tuned. There's going to be fun things to happen later.
It is. So back to the wine quickly. While we still have your attention. It's great celebration wine and a really, again, as I keep saying, a good food wine. So just, look at this.
Oh, snacks.
So really good with nibbles. Actually, champagne is very, very good with popcorn, bizarrely enough.
Oh, I drink my bubbles with popcorn all the time. No joke.
I thought that was news.
No, that's what I do. Perhaps did I tell you I do that?
No, I don't believe so. Anyhow, whatever nibbles you have, so you can do some crackers, some chips, and popcorn just seems to go especially well with bubbles. And this one here, not as bright and vibrant as some champagnes because it's spent that extra time in the bottle. It's softened the mousse, as they call it. It's very easy drinking wine. This is a good wine
I actually,
to fall in love with.
like I said, he's from the South. I feel like bubbles, people think you have to have a special occasion for. But I think, Tuesday nights, drinking a really nice glass of bubbles, you've made it through the Monday and you hit that Tuesday and you're like, oh my gosh, we are just itching until.
Earned, isn't it? Earned.
Yeah, it's definitely very earned. You're not quite till Friday, but why not celebrate a Tuesday? So,
Right. So your new Tuesday wine will be Paradise Ridge 2012 Late Discourse
Blanc de Blanc.
Do I see you handling another bottle there, or something?
Yes, I did. I'm not quite done with this one yet.
We can do two. We can be double fisted.
Oh my gosh, a glass. Actually, we need to open the Convict first.
Okay.
My apologies.
It's okay. So we have some cheese selections here from our wonderful friends at the Valley Forge Cheese Company, which is right out on the coast in northern California. These cows feed on fresh green grass all year long because there's the moisture coming in from the ocean. And that's very, very unique and very, very special because when they're eating fresh grass, the flavors in the milk, which turns into the cheese, have a sense more vibrancy and more juiciness and complexity. And this is our
Estero Gold.
Estero Gold.
And then this is our Fontina.
Fontina, or is it called Fontina or is it called something else? It's a Fontina style. Come on, clocks are ticking. We have a vast amount of people out here.
Fontina.
Anyhow, it is really,
Highway
it's a sort of
Highway
Highway 1.
Thank you. A Fontina style cheese, and they're getting better and better and better at making this. And if you know Fontina, it's originally from Italy, and it's sort of semi-soft cheese and can age quite well. But it has a sort of a little funkiness to it.
I actually, fun fact, I don't cook a whole lot, but if I ever make homemade mac and cheese, I always use Fontina because it's a super nice melty cheese. Shout out to Ree Drummond for teaching me everything I know. We love the Pioneer
There
Woman.
we go. Mac and cheese, bubbles.
Everything. I mean, mac and cheese and
We're
bubbles
making
too.
huge progress. Here.
Lobster mac and cheese with bubbles.
Mm. It really is good. I mean, we'll come back to that.
Yes.
So the wine that we're moving on to next.
This is our 2017 Convict Zinfandel.
Mhm.
So this is actually from Rockpile, which
Rockpile.
is, I feel like, one of our flagship locations. Everybody loves our Rockpile wines. But where is this particularly located in Rockpile?
This is from the Branham Vineyard. Gary Branham and I have been friends for decades, and about 10 years ago, he allowed me to buy some of his fruit, and we at Paradise Ridge fell in love with it. This Zinfandel, Gary Branham Vineyard is in the middle of nowhere. You're 20 miles off grid when you're in this vineyard. To get there, you have to go through multiple closed lock gates and through quaint wooded valleys, through a stream, up and through sort of treacherous passes.
It's definitely not a peaceful ride if you're going up with Dan. He's trying to get a. It's very fun, but you're opening all these hidden gates and stuff, and there's a lot of ticks. Lots of ticks. I hate bugs.
Well, here's a tick in your box. This Zinfandel, it's very, very good. Made out of Zinfandel, a little Petit Syrah.
What does the Petit Syrah add to the wine?
Well, that's lovely.
Oh my! I have to confess, I don't really like Zins, but I really like this wine. I was gonna say this would have been awkward. No, I really. This is honestly the only Zin I'll drink. Honest to goodness.
Good. We passed that test. So hopefully you will agree with the lovely Emily, and this will be the only Zin that you want to drink.
Hopefully.
So she did ask about what the Petit Syrah
Oh yes.
brings to the wine, and one of the easiest answers is it brings a lot of color, dark, rich color which you can't really see, but you can. It's It's wonderful. But also it brings a little more structure to the wine, which is more sort of body, a little more tannin structure. Although this isn't a particularly tannic wine, it just broadens its shoulders as it goes from mid to back palate. It just keeps that fruit power on the way through, and also adds a sort of a kind of sweet floralness to the wine.
It's a beautiful wine, and I feel like Zinfandels are not known for being like very pretty wines.
And being there in the vineyard and working with Gary on how the growing season works, working with the canopy, removing some of the fruit, making sure that none of the fruit is too exposed to that really intense sunlight up the elevation. We're at 1,400 feet above sea level, which is and about 15 miles from the sea, so a very unique location. But the sun is far more intense there, but yet the air temperature is lower than it would be down in the valley.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when we were up there, it was like very hot, but I guess it could have been hotter elsewhere.
Could be.
Could have been.
And so what you have is this cooling influence from the ocean, which maintains the acidity and slows that ripening process down a little bit. But what you're getting is all that sunlight reaching the vines, and those vines and sunlight make flavor. And we're in the flavor business, and the Branham Vineyard just gives us everything we need on that front. We try to pick at the lower level of ripeness so that the wine doesn't have too high of an alcohol and isn't too strong, which I believe makes it a much more comfortable pairing to lots of different foods. Today was meant to be about barbecue and Zinfandel and barbecue. We're here in California, Northern California, and we love barbecue now. It's June. The evenings are long, and the sun doesn't set till 9 o'clock. And once the heat of the day kicks down, we're outside and firing up those coals and cooking all that great food on the grill.
I even barbecue. Did you know?
No, I did not.
I know. Catch me on the grill.
That's good.
Gas grill, though. I can't do the
No.
charcoal.
Yeah, you shouldn't have said that.
It's still barbecue. I know.
It is. But with this was meant to be a barbecue, an appointment with you, but we were going to have a pile of barbecue meats, but both Emily and I are not very comfortable eating food with our hands in front of people.
It gets in my manicure. What can I say?
Yeah, well, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
I just don't feel, it's just difficult for me to do that. I'm English, and we usually eat with a knife and fork, but I have learned to eat with my hands, usually in a more private setting, I think. But Zinfandel has this great vibrancy and lots of rich, fruity characters, which sort of really signifies Zinfandel. And the sweet, sticky barbecue flavors really match very well with the Zinfandel grape. And so if you're going to be grilling something,
Ribs.
which I'm sure a lot of you are, ribs, I love
Ribs.
Now when I grew up in England, ribs were never really used. It was
really?
not.
Interesting.
And I was in the food business, and I don't ever remember cooking ribs ever.
Interesting.
But you've got it down here.
Yeah.
The ribs are the bones that run right next to that, the streaky bacon, or the bacon cut on the animal. And so that is why bacon is so good, because the sweeter the meat, the closer the bone. And that's why ribs are so good, is because you have that sweetness from that meat being close to the bone. I'm not sure exactly how that happens scientifically, but we do know it by eating it. And the same with chicken wings, lots of bone, but very, very sweet, very, very delicious, and just yum, yum, yum.
I wonder, I'm just putting this out there, because people eat bone marrow.
Yes, they do.
All the time. So I wonder if the bone marrow has something to do with how great the meat is around it. I don't know. I'm not a biologist, but
No, I think I hear what you're saying, and it should tie in. But bone marrow is actually the inside of the bone.
Well,
and
yeah,
it's actually
but
quite
can it
noticeable.
go through the bone?
You're asking the wrong guy.
All right, I'm the wrong
I'm-
person to suggest this question and the wrong guy to answer it. So we're moving on.
We're moving.
But
Zinfandel,
the Zinfandel is great.
great with a little Petite Sirah. I think if you're going to go and search out a bottle of Zinfandel, if you see little percentage of Petite Sirah, I think you're going to have a much more richer, fuller wine to enjoy. And Petite Sirah is very, very unique, unique grape to Northern California. And the little history behind that grape is...
Isn't it one of the 5 noble grapes? Am I making that up?
Yes.
I am making it up?
Correct.
Great. Fact check.
So the Petite Sirah was originally a grape called Durif, which originated in the south of France. In the early 20th century, Dr. Durif wanted to create a bunch of grapes, a vine that produced bunches of grapes that were very thick-skinned and were loose clusters, so they would be very, very resilient to mildew and mold. What Dr. Durif actually created was a very tight, thin-skinned cluster that was extremely susceptible to everything, mold and problems that grapes have. And the only reason it really survived here in Northern California is because we don't really have any rain from, I will say, May through to September or October. So the growing season is extremely dry, which means that this grape that doesn't like rain thrives. And it was planted in old Italian Zinfandel vineyards to create more complexity and then again created the color and more texture and tannin to the finished wine. But I think one of the big reasons, and I could be completely wrong, is a lot of the Italian families that planted vineyards 100 or 150 years ago would grow those grapes and make wine, and then they would sell that wine to other companies who would bottle it. So they weren't intrinsically involved with the selling of their own wine. What they used to do is they used to make that first wine, and then they'd throw in a bunch of water and sugar and make another wine. And I think that the skins and the color from the Petite Sirah, because it's more tannic and has more color, made what that second wine is, which is called Ripasso in Italian. I think and they made this wine, and that's what the Italian families who grew those grapes drank throughout the year. It was much, much lower alcohol, and so it was more of a water was not quite as clean as it is today, and so they would use that as a source of drinking to maintain the moisture. And maybe it was only 6 or 7% alcohol, but this is my own theory of how Petite Sirah survived and thrived in Northern California. And I understand the Italian culture here in Northern California, and it sort of fits in with this. But there you heard it first from me about how Petite Sirah survived in Northern California. I believe we have another wine today.
Yes, we do. So
Ta-da!
this is our 2018 Confessor. So I'm going to start off. I know that this wine has kind of a special connection to you.
The name does.
Yes.
Correct? Yes.
So will you kind of explain what the Confessor means?
Well, I'll explain about the wine. So those of you that have the Confessor in front of you, we're going to just open this wine and smell.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful sort of fragrant blue fruits, and there's almost it's like a blueberry. You know when you have a blueberry and then you put it in your mouth and then there's fruit and then there's something else and then more fruit kicks in. There's a lot of that something else going on in this wine, which I love. It's very, very
I know,
pretty
this
again.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is an incredibly feminine wine. I feel like it's
Mhm.
super beautiful. I don't like blueberries. I feel like I name a lot of things that I don't like, but I really like this wine. I don't know. I think the graininess of blueberries, but blueberry in this glass is chef's kiss.
Oh, chef's kiss. So the name, we'll go back quickly. We were mentioning the name of the wine. The Confessor has an extraordinary tale. My daughter was in, I believe, 6th grade, and she was given the task of an ancestry search. I think that's the right way to explain it. Anyhow, on the phone back to England, and my Aunt Liz, had already done a lot of this ancestry research and ended up finding this guy whose name was Robert de Den, who was born in 1040. That's 10,040. And
not 1040 today.
No. And he was for a better word, the wine steward to Edward the Confessor, who was one of the last Saxon kings of England. And the name just worked perfectly. To give you an idea, Edward the Confessor's father was Ethelred the Unready. Not such a great name for a bottle. And there's a whole plethora.
Not quite there yet.
No.
Not quite there yet.
Exactly. So the Confessor, we got lucky with this one. But if you go and research your history books, it's an extraordinary time in British history. And just after Edward's death, England was conquered in 1066. And that was the last time that England was conquered by another nation. Although they were all cousins and brothers and nieces and nephews, that was the last time that England was actually, the kingship was actually taken over by another nation. We survived all of the rest of them. So it has a special meaning to me. And another great thing about this wine is that when we started working with Gary Branham back in 2010.
10.
That's when we started working there. Yes. He said, well, I think I've got some more land that I could plant some grapes. So he asked me, what grapes he thought he should plant. And I thought, well, he's already had a little straw. So he planted the Grenache for this, that goes into this bottle, and also the Mourvedre. We're going to go back step a little bit. This is what we call a GSM, which means Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, which are the 3 grapes that go into making this red blend. And so the Syrah was already in Gary's vineyard. He planted the Grenache and the Mourvedre for us to create this wine. So this wine was designed in the vineyard by Gary and myself, and that's how the journey started. And it's very, very unique and special opportunity that only very, very few people get given, is to design and make a wine with the guy that's growing the grapes.
I know, that's really awesome. So shout out to Gary for letting us,
Gaza, as they call it in England.
Ooh.
Do you know that the short for Gary is Gaza in England?
Where is that even derived from?
I don't know. That's another interesting. I don't know. I have no idea.
We don't have time to pivot to that, but maybe next time.
Do the Gaza research out there and let us know what you find. It is very, very pretty wine.
I know.
Some florals, but it's also, it's got this structure and depth, and it's sort of the aromatics belie what's in the glass.
I mean, everything that we've had, thus far in past and to future is obviously an absolutely beautiful wine. And I feel like everything that you make is really designed to pair with foods.
That's right.
And I think that that's our whole MO basically is, to make these beautiful wines to pair amazingly on your table with your friends, with any kind of food, really. I eat DiGiorno pizza. You're eating whatever nice food, I'm sure.
Well, it is. And part of the creation of making wines that are food friendly is picking their fruit when the sugar's not too high, because that sugar turns into alcohol. So we don't want too much alcohol in these wines. But also, when you're picking at that earlier level of ripeness, there's more natural acidity in that fruit, which finishes in the wine. And the more acidity there is in a wine, makes it far more food friendly. So that acidity cuts the fat on that food. And then when that happening, something special happens. The aromatics seem to open up. Your palate receives all your receptors, and your palate wants to really embrace that wine as you're drinking it. And then you want more food, and then you want more wine, and then you want to talk some more. And so these wines are social wines. I like to call social wines. And it's important. There are wines that are riper and more fruity and have higher alcohol, and they're wonderful, exciting wines, and I love drinking them now and again. But if I'm going to sit down with some food and with some friends, this is exactly what I want to drink. And I make these wines for me because of that. And what I don't drink, all of you guys get to. And that really is the bottom line. We didn't really talk about all these wines are aged for about 16 months.
Oh, yes. So we know the bubbles they took 8 years to get to this point.
Yes.
And then how long was the Convict in barrel, or how long did we?
Both of these wines are sort of sister wines, and they're aged for about 16 months. So they're bottled the following 2 years later after harvest. So this was made in 18, is that correct? So it was bottled in 2020. It's aged in French oak puncheons. Puncheons is the descriptor for barrels that are twice the size of a normal barrel that you'd see. So these are 400 and 500 liters. And the reason that we use these is that there is less oak to the wine when you're aging it. So there's less oak influence on that wine. And that's another important thing, especially with Grenache. We don't want that oak to get in the way. And we really want to showcase that fruit of the wine and the other components. We have Syrah in this blend. This is one of the most extraordinary grapes, that it creates flavors that you cannot imagine in the wine. There is roasted meats, there's forest floor, what they call gaminess, and they're all subtle, but they create these extra textures and levels of complexity with that beautiful fruity Grenache.
I was going to say the Grenache is such a beautiful wine, and you just add these little things to kind of add a little something to it. But the Grenache, I feel like, stands.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And the Mourvedre, and these are all what is known as Rhone varietals, which means these grapes originated in the Rhone region of France, or France, as we say in England. And
France.
Yeah, I know. And they thrive here in the warmer climes of Northern California, and I think some of the best wines that I've tasted, red wines, have been the GSM or Rhone varietals that are in Northern California, and I think this exemplifies exactly that. Beautiful aromatics, so pretty, charming.
I know, it's very pretty.
And it belies what's in the glass, as I said before.
Oh gosh, it really is just such a pretty wine.
And on the palate, it fills and spreads across the palate with a nice sort of dustiness, finishes with nice cleanness, that prettiness reappears, and makes you want to have more. And we're in the more business, I'll let you know. And I think we've done our presentation.
I think so. Well, cheers. We've done it again.
I believe we're out of time for questions. I'm so sorry.
I know. Sorry. Did we get any questions? Are we okay?
We're done.
All right. Well, I'll email you guys back if I have any other questions. But if you guys need to pick up your wines, come to Wines and Sunsets. We are so happy to have you guys. We're excited for everything to be opening up again. If you have any questions, email us, call us, and Dan and I will be here. Cheers.
Good evening.
You gotta click end.
The end.
Bye.